What's up, everyone? Welcome to the latest installment of Life After Strange right here on Player One versus the World. And my latest guest is the voice of not only one character, not two, but three, and she is Dayeanne Hutton. How are you doing, Dayeanne?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We've had about 20 to 30 minutes of technical issues, but we finally got over that and we can...
It's true. It's true. Technical difficulties haunt my life, so it's fine.
So I think the best place to start with the show as well, and I think there's no better place to start, is how did you end up auditioning for Life is Strange? And did you specifically audition for the role of Kate?
Great, yeah. So it was just a pretty regular audition situation. I got sent the audition by my agent, and then I recorded it. This blows a lot of people's minds. I actually just recorded it on my phone in my bedroom. It was nothing fancy, and I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I recorded an audition for Max, Victoria, and Kate, and I submitted all three.
Oh, okay. So you applied for the other two, and then...
Yeah. I was basically given the audition, and it was here are three female roles to read for. Or it was pick who you think you could read for, or something like that. I mean, I don't know. It was 6 years ago. So we could just say it was that. It was, yeah, I had all three scripts and submitted for all of them. Yeah.
Okay, so you obviously landed the role of Kate, but then you get two other characters of Alyssa and Juliet. So how did you end up landing those two characters along with Kate?
So that was actually surprising to me, because this was the first ever kind of, I had done a small radio commercial, but I had never done a video game or anything animated. So it's pretty common, actually, because I think under the rules of the SAG and the union or whatever, you can have one actor, you can ask them to voice up to 3 roles without paying them more or something like that. So when I got there, the director was like, cool, so you're Kate, and you're also another 2 characters. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't know that, and it's not like I came in there with 2 other characters prepared or in my mind, but the director, Phil, helped me find the characters, because he knew about them. So he was like, okay, so Alyssa's a goth chick, she's got purple hair, and I was like, okay, and then he helped me find her voice, and that's how that happened.
That's an interesting story. I didn't realize that's how it worked.
Yeah.
So we have the 3 characters that you have. And while it might seem
Mm-hmm.
obvious for me to ask this, which is your favorite and why? And rank them from 1 to 3.
That's hard. I mean, there's definitely something about all of them I love. Obviously, I'm gonna have to rank Kate first, because she's precious. Of course, we're ranking Kate number 1. Between Alyssa and Juliet, that's a little difficult. No one's ever asked me this before, so I'm like, oh, what a struggle. I guess I would do Juliet and then Alyssa, just because Juliet's lines were pretty fun. They were pretty, just the anger was pretty fun.
Okay, that's understandable. So you just touched on it a minute ago about Phil being in the helping you bring a character to life. And I've asked many actors a load of times what their experience is like working with Phil. What was your experience like working with him with these 3 characters specifically? And when you were in the studio as well, was Michel or Raoul there in some kind of capacity whilst you were recording lines?
Yeah, so Phil is a magical human being. I love him so much. He was so wonderful to work with. Like I said, he is who created, really, Alyssa and Juliet's voices. He directed me into those characters. He was the creator of them. So that was really awesome. He was really fun. I got to hang out with him at PAX West this past year. And I found out something. I was like, you jerk. Because I had to do, in addition to those 3 characters, there was some just like background voices they'd have you do for like the bigger scenes. And for the Vortex party at the end, he had me throwing up. He was like, there's going to be someone throwing up. And he made me do it so many times. And I was so like awkward. And like, I was like, this is so weird. And I told him that story at PAX and he laughed and he was like, yeah, I just think it's really funny when people make throw up sounds. So I probably made you do that more times just because I thought it was funny. And I was like, oh, I hate you. But he was really awesome. And yeah, every time I recorded Michel and I definitely know Michel was always on Skype. And there were Raoul was probably also there. Other people were also there, but they were always there on Skype. And there were a few times where they literally like wrote a line for me to say and like put it up on they had like a projector and they put it up and they were like, okay, do this line for Alyssa. Like we want to add this in. So that was cool.
Okay, that's really interesting. And so obviously there's a part of that journey when you get to the recording studio. Before you head up to the mic, what kind of mindset do you enter in for these characters? Like, what's kind of like the preparation to get ready for a role like any of these 3 characters?
I feel like this is gonna be disappointing, but you don't know anything going in. So there's nothing that you can really prepare for. I didn't know, like I mean, I didn't even, like I said, know I was doing the other 2 characters. They were just told once I got there. And all I knew about Kate was like, she's, religious and soft-spoken. And like I didn't have any details until you're there with the script. I literally walked in the morning, we were recording episode 2 and Phil was like, okay, so you're going to be jumping off a building today. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? So there's really no prepping to be done there. And so it might depend on different projects. Like this has been the biggest project I've worked on, so I don't have other experiences to compare it to, but I know that it's pretty common to not have a lot of info going in. Mm-hmm. But that's why amazing directors like Phil are just like so necessary, because he helps you get there.
So as well as talking about being in the studio, how long were you in the studio for recording these lines? Was it just all at once, or did it bring you back in every couple of months?
So it was pretty quick. I went in separately for each. They would do like each episode at a time. So I went in 1 month to do episode 1. I was never in the booth longer than an hour. And yeah, I would go in and I did episode 1, and then I came back a few months later and did episode 2. And so that's how it worked. And yeah, I don't remember ever being in there longer than an hour. It went pretty fast.
Okay. So before we dig into the Kate stuff as well, let's talk about Alyssa and Juliet for a moment. What was it like? What was it like when you saw pictures of those characters for the first time? Whenever you did, like, what was your first thought of how they looked? And did you like the fact that you were playing 2 really different characters in terms of like, one's part of the Vortex Club, one isn't, one's quite geeky, one's just a completely different personality?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I knew what they looked like until the game came out.
Would that apply for Kate as well? Sorry.
I think so. I honestly don't remember. From what I remember, I don't think I knew what any of them looked like until the game came out. I know Phil told me Alyssa had purple hair, but that's pretty much it. So that was really fun for me when the game first came out. I was watching through, because I didn't have gaming consoles of my own at the time, and so I was like going on YouTube and finding playthroughs to be like, what do my characters look like? This is so exciting. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I felt anything other than just excited when I found them. I was just like, cool, that's what she looks like. Cool, that's what she looks like. Cool. Nothing stands out. Maybe there were some like smaller thoughts or feelings, but again, 6 years ago, so, or five, I don't know, 5 timelines, who knows, but I think I was just really excited to be in a video game and have characters and be able to find them and look at them and watch them interact in the world. That's the overwhelming memory I have of it all. As for them being different, it was hard. I mean, I didn't really know much about their personalities when I was playing or when I was recording. So again, it was cool to play and learn more along with everyone else. Like I knew, you know, Alyssa was kind of a goth chick and a little bit like of a more loner type and kept to herself. And I knew that Juliet was more tough and brash and brazen, but I didn't know any details about like who they hung out with or anything like that.
Okay. So one of the interesting things for me with Life is Strange is there's a really deep connection with spirit animals. A lot of people think that the doe is a representation of Rachel Amber's, and 2 of your characters. So I've read theories that people think Kate's spirit animal is a rabbit and Alyssa's is a cockroach. Where do you, as the voice actor for these 2 characters, stand on these being spirit animals for these characters?
I can understand the correlation of thinking Kate with a rabbit because she has a rabbit. I'm not sure where Alyssa having a cockroach spirit animal comes from. I don't really know how or where that applies.
Do you know what? I would try and break it down for you because I read it before.
Okay,
but
please do.
It honestly blew my mind when, like, to the point where I read it, I was like, how has someone dug through this game to, like, get this metaphor? I'm ready. I think the correlation was like a cockroach can, like, almost withstand anything except for, like, a nuclear bomb. And that's what you do with her when you kind of, like, save her from, like, little things within the game where Max, like, rewinds time to, like, stop something from happening with her. So she's, like, a survivalist kind of character. That's the gist of it in the bigger nutshell.
I mean, why not, really? Sure. I mean, I think, you know, my craziest fan theory is that, you know, Samuel knows the whole time about Max's powers and knows everything that's happening and is just some weird kind of wizard that is there overseeing everything. So, you know, sure, Alyssa's spirit animal is a cockroach.
Fair enough. And would you think that they would be their Patronuses as well? I know that you're a big fan.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially since the way they portray the doe is very Patronus-like, and a doe is a main Patronus in Harry Potter, so it's hard not to think of that. And I'm obsessed with Luna, and her Patronus is a hare, so the fact that people want to give Kate a rabbit kind of Patronus, quote unquote, I mean, I'm not going to argue with it.
There will be Harry Potter stuff that comes up, I assure you, so don't worry about that. So on to Kate. The biggest scene for me was that end of episode 2 with the suicide scene. And I know that you said that sometimes that actors record on their own in the studio, and from my experience of this series, well, a lot of them time to do. But because of the scene involving Hannah with Kate, was she in the studio with you when you did that scene?
She was, actually. So that was one of those rare instances where we did get to record together. They specifically brought us in together because they knew it was such an intense scene. And that was both, like, helpful and not. So I deal with a lot of anxiety, and when I at the time of recording, like, didn't know it was anxiety. Definitely wasn't taking anything for it. And so this is like a new kind of job for me, like new voiceover. They tell me I'm doing this really intense thing, and then they bring in someone I don't know to, like, act with. And so I had to get past, like, being nervous and, like, you know, being afraid of embarrassing myself in front of the girl playing the main character and trying to do a good job. But she's obviously the sweetest human being in the world, and we got along great. And I'm super grateful getting to look back on having that experience. It would have been different. It would have been more difficult to do without her there. Absolutely.
Okay. And obviously I'm scraping the barrel to pull your memory out here, but with that scene as well, you said Michel would be on, Skype call and Phil would be in the studio. Was there any like really vivid memory about like that scene recording it, like any input that they had, or like if you felt really uncomfortable and they were kind of like a bit reassuring?
No, I don't remember. I think I just remember, Hannah and I going through it and them just being like, good, great, okay. that kind of thing.
Okay. So, I think that's where, for me, Kate's story arc kind of like peaks at its like high point where she's a significant player. And then we kind of see her reoccur throughout the story and the rest of it. Since you played the game as well, how did you feel about seeing Kate's story arc unravel for the remaining 3 episodes?
And well, obviously she should have been in it more, but no. No, I'm super grateful for them giving Kate the chance to come back in that hospital scene. I've talked about it before, but they weren't sure if they were going to do that scene, and the benefit kind of the fact that they were releasing episodes before we were finished recording episodes was that they were seeing fan feedback, and when they weren't expecting the reaction to Kate and the love for Kate, so they were like, oh no, okay, we have to have this, we have to give them this. So as an actor, I was eternally grateful to the fans for really giving me the chance to come back and playing. It's really nice to kind of have that, because you go through that intensity in the second episode and things just get more intense, but if you save Kate, it's kind of like a little breather every time you get to talk to her or see her, because then it's like, oh, we're just having a nice Kate moment. Okay, we're not dealing with, okay, it's gotten really out of hand. It's nice to just see Kate kind of thing.
So you're one of the few actors I know that has like gone back and played through the entire game in its entirety. And you talked about how you went back and looked at what the characters look like after you voiced them. What was your initial impressions when you finished the entire game for the first time and saw how the story actually panned out across 5 episodes? Especially because your lines were kind of like didn't really paint the full picture.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely something, because I didn't, when I was recording like Alyssa's lines, I remember recording Alyssa's lines for episode 5, and they're very intense, but there's not a lot of them. And I remember just looking at Phil and being like, what's happening in this game? Because like the last thing I had recorded was the hospital scenes, and then all of a sudden there's like storm and Alyssa's screaming for help, and I was like, what? And he couldn't tell me, so I was just like, what the hell happens in this game? So it was really nice to finally solve that mystery. Absolutely. I very much enjoyed the game, and really loved like kind of all the things it put you through and made you think about when I played it. Absolutely.
So sticking on that as well, you mentioned before about Hannah, and that you recorded the lines with her, but then you kind of built a relationship with her afterwards where you guys like spent time together, did streams. What was it like to have that relationship build after working on a project like this?
It's so much fun. It's so much fun, and like I've said, she's just a wonderful, strange, beautiful human being that I'm happy is in my life, and I'm happy I get to support. And it's really great because, and it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't have had that session together. And then the subsequent, we got to do the streams at Square Enix, where I got to see her more, and that's when I met Nick. And honestly, everyone I've met who's been a part of the game has just been an absolutely wonderful human. And I'm just grateful that I got to work with these people and keep them in my life. It's, LA can be hard with finding people that are real, and this game is full of amazing humans.
That's really nice to hear that story. So outside of your characters that you've voiced, who's your favorite character from the first game or just the series in general?
Samuel. I love him so much. He's so weird. I have, unless I can, Hawt Dawg Man, but he's not really like a character, but like I'm obsessed with him. I don't know. I tend to be weird, and I I hook onto clearly really obscure characters, but I just think Samuel is so misunderstood and so sweet and well-meaning, and for Hawt Dawg Man, I just grew an obsession, and here we are.
Did you ever let the directors know that you have this obsession with like Hawt Dawg Man or anyone?
Oh, they know. I have told them. I am like, where is the hot? I have told Michelle, I've told Luke, I've told Raul, I've told them all. I'm like, where's the Hawt Dawg Man game? They're like, you have Mustard Party too. I'm like, where's the Hawt Dawg Man game? And so I'm trying, okay, everyone, I am trying to get us that game.
We never know. We might actually see that game. So
I hope so.
I think we all hope so. Anything's possible with this game, though. So looking back on the first game particularly, what was your favorite scene just across the series, like that you enjoyed playing or watching, or
favorite scene that I enjoyed playing or watching? Oh, I've played through it so many times. I'm like trying to think back to the first time I played through it, and I'm like, how did this go for me? Favorite thing I enjoyed playing? I definitely hated the bottles. I mean, who doesn't? Favorite thing playing? Oh, this is super random, but I really, really liked the puzzle when you're like sleuthing and trying. You have all the clues, and you're like matching up the license plate with the car, with the like code name, with the timing of the text. I loved that. I ate that up. I solved it so fast, and everyone was like, wait, what? I was like, I like puzzles, guys.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say the bottle one, because I got a flashback to that. Because I remember looking around that junkyard for like 20 minutes straight and thinking, where's this like last bottle? It's like, I don't get what's happened here.
It's tough. It's not a good time. I have people, because I stream now, and Life is Strange is what got me into streaming, and I have people in my chat that anytime a bottle shows up in any video game, they make a reference, and it's just like, stop it, why would you bring those memories back?
So, my big question for this show, and I could probably end after this, but I'm not going to, but it's the biggest one. Because I know that you've played through the Life is Strange series. I want Dayeanne Hutton to name me her Mount Rushmore of Life is Strange characters. From the entire series, I give you full choice now. I'm going to leave it to you to pick.
Full series, like including Life is Strange 2?
Life is Strange 2, Before the Storm, 1, Captain Spirit. I'll give you all choices to pick 4 to go on your Mount Rushmore.
So this is like of favorites, not necessarily like importance.
Your
like,
favorites.
My favorites. Okay, well, obviously Hawt Dawg Man, please. So Hawt Dawg Man would go up there. Let's see. I'm trying to think of all of the characters. I'm trying to remember Life is Strange 2. It's the most recent one. Who do we like? I feel like Hawt Dawg Man, we gotta put Kate up there, because I feel like people would be weirded out if I didn't, honestly. And Hawt Dawg Man and Kate, like what a pair. What a pair.
Samuel going up there.
I do love Samuel. I'm like, I do love Samuel so much. So sure, yeah, let's put Samuel up there. Is it weird that I feel like squirrels are the unofficial Life is Strange like mascot as well.
This is your Mount Rushmore. I'm not going to debate this.
I know. Everyone's going to be like, what? Why are Max and Chloe? Listen, guys. Listen. You got to memorialize Hawt Dawg Man. Priorities. I feel like I'm forgetting someone so important, and I hate it. I hate that I feel this way. This is hard. This is very hard.
So at the minute we've got Hawt Dawg Man, we've got Kate, we've got
and Samuel. Yeah. There's so many people in Life is Strange too. What about do I want to put Layla up there? I kind of want to put Layla up there. I'm like a champion for the underdog. I think that's why all my favorite characters are not any of the main ones, because I'm like, look at this really cool side character. Let's put Layla up there. I want Layla and Kate to be friends. So let's do it.
So there's the Mount Rushmore.
There it is.
The most interesting Mount Rushmore I could have ever have heard. I thought you were going to go straight for the big boys, but like, okay.
Nah, they're memorialized in plenty of other ways.
So you've talked about it before, but you've hosted streams for Life is Strange. But then you also hosted one for Life is Strange 2 as well with some of the actors from that series. What was it like to meet them and almost have like a Life is Strange past meets present and kind of like bring a family together even closer?
That was so much fun. I'm still so honored that they let me be a part of that. I had an absolute blast. First of all, the Square Enix like social media manager who runs the streams, Eric, has become a good friend of mine since we first started doing the streams. Like, he's just a fantastic human, so it's always fun to hang out with him. And then getting to meet all the different it was so nice. It was so nice. They were all so cool and so fun. And like I was like nerding out too, like along with everyone else. So it was just like, this is so fun.
So, Life is Strange 2, I know that you've moved into streaming quite a lot. You have your own YouTube channel. You should go and check it out as well. It's very good. And,
thank you.
And I know that you've played through the second game. What was your impression of like them moving into an all new story setting within the Life is Strange universe? So they had Life is Strange 2, they had Captain Spirit. What were your thoughts when you first saw them announce it? And then
I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great story. I had a lot of fun playing it. But I also am a different kind of fan in a way, just because I don't even know, like, Life is Strange, being a part of Life is Strange, and it's kind of what got me back into playing video games from, like, being a kid. So I wouldn't have known about it. I wouldn't have even, like, played it if I wasn't a part of it, because I wasn't gaming. And so it's hard to say how I would have reacted and felt then, but I tend to be a pretty open person that's like seeing different sides of things. So I had no issues with it being like a completely different set of characters in the same world. I was like, this is brilliant. It's like the MCU. Let's go. I'm here for it. So I'm all for that kind of stuff.
And onto the topic of streaming as well, like when was the decision made where you were like, I kind of want to do this now, get into the gaming side, just kind of like take that path down after Life is Strange? When did you think that it was the right time to do it?
So I have my fiance to thank for that, because the game had been out maybe 6 months already. Like, it wasn't newly out. Like, all the episodes were out. And I had known Twitch as always a video game kind of thing. But then I found out, like, oh, you can do other stuff on it. Like, you can do board games and you can do this and that. And I talked about it with him at the time and was like, I would love to do like a monthly board game night with our friends, but that would be hard to set up. And he was like, well, why don't you start off with video games? Why don't you start off with your game? Like, I bet people want to see you play that. He was like, I played around with Twitch last year. I can help you set it up. And like, I have the equipment, like, let's do it. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so we kind of just started, and I stumbled into it, and it went really well, and everyone was so nice, and the fans had such an amazing response to it. I kind of said, hey, this is a lot of fun, and this is working really well. I will keep doing this until it stops being fun or working, and it hasn't. So I'm still doing it 3 years later.
It's nice. I was always wondering how that story came about, because when I was like looking into everything and how you went into streaming, I was like, I wonder how she made that leap. But it's quite a cool backstory to hear.
Yeah, it's been great.
So one of the interesting things I want to know is that when Life is Strange finished, you've obviously worked in TV since then. You've done your streaming on Twitch, on YouTube channel, but there's been no continuation of like VO work in gaming. Was that something that happened where you just didn't apply for the jobs in that, or the opportunities didn't come about? Like, what happened just in there, just generally speaking?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like with any acting, theater, or TV, film. It's a very competitive market, and there's a lot of people in LA all trying to do it, and especially with voiceover, like if you have really talented people that can do a bunch of different voices, you only need that one person. So it's like it's a smaller need for people. I have been trying to get back into it for a while. It was just a thing of like, I ended up leaving my VO agents at the time because we just had not a falling out. We just kind of parted ways. And then it's been really, really hard. I still don't have a voiceover agent. So I get a few auditions through friends here and there, but I mean, some of these people are getting 8 a day or 10 a week, and I'm like 1 every 3 months. So it's just I'm just in kind of like a different space with it, but I haven't given up and I haven't quit. I'm still working on it.
Amazing. And in that as well, like, because your 3 characters, had they come back for Before the Storm, you wouldn't have been able to voice them because of the union strike. Is that right?
Yeah. In fact, Juliet is in Before the Storm, and it's definitely not me. But it was very brief. I was like grateful. I was kind of like, man, if they had brought Kate back, it would have broken my heart to have someone else voice her. So I was like, okay, Juliet I can live with. It's fine.
You know what? I'll tell you something, because the episode's not gone live yet, but I recorded my episode with Hannah a couple of days ago before this one, and I asked her about Max, like who would play it, and she looked like devastated by the idea that anyone would ever play Max instead of her. So I was like, I understand where you're coming from with Kate, where it's like it's a no-go for no one else to play her.
Yeah. I mean, I feel for Ashley, who did get replaced, but I do know she got to be on the writing team. So, and I don't know how she feels, how personal she's connected to Chloe or anything like that. And I mean, she's obviously on a whole different tier, so she might be fine with it. She's like, it's fine. I'm like Aloy and stuff. It's cool.
Here's a question then for you. If you had the chance to voice someone from Life is Strange 2, who would you want to voice?
Life is Strange 2. I think I would want to voice Cassie because I also like to sing. And so it'd be really cool to get to sing in a video game as well as voice act.
Yeah, she's definitely one of the more quirky characters that's stood out in that series. So I know that you love doing cosplay. I would recommend anyone here to go and check out her Instagram, because it's insane the amount of cosplay that I saw. I was like, all right. I thought it was minimal, but it's incredible as well, by the way. I'm just curious to know if there's any characters on your horizon that you want to do in the next couple of weeks, months.
Oh man, what a question. I have too many cosplays right now that are 80% done that I just have had sitting around for God knows how long. So maybe this will hold me accountable, but I have that I would ideally love to get out in the next month or so. Aerith from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Gwen from Into the Spider-Verse, her school outfit, Spider-Gwen school outfit. Those are the 2 that I keep being like, why have you not finished these? They're so close. What is wrong with you? So those 2 should be on. They're at the top of the list for sure.
Right. So sticking on that as well, I know that you've cosplayed Ellie as well, and we just recently had The Last of Us Part 2 come out. Have you finished? I know you're playing it. Have you finished it yet?
I'm not done. I'm probably 6 or 8 hours to the end. I'm very close to being done, but not quite there yet.
General impressions?
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's brilliant storytelling. I'm a huge fan, but
okay.
To each their own, I suppose.
This episode is going to go out after this game comes out, but tell me why it's coming out late August, another Dontnod game. I've seen that you've reacted to the trailer. How do you feel about that game? Kind of just another game from Dontnod that kind of goes into chapters, has kind of a very much a Life is Strange feel. I remember watching the first trailer and thinking, is this specifically the game team that worked on the first Life is Strange? But what was your reactions towards it when you watched it?
I'm really excited for both Tell Me Why and Twin Mirror. I mean, I just love Dontnod. I think they're great. I stand by them as a company. Every single person I've worked with and met there are just outstanding humans. And so I'm kind of like, I'm just really excited to see what's, next for them. I admittedly never played Vampire, but I do have it and want to play it at some point. But super excited for those next 2 games. We'll definitely be streaming them. Yeah, I'm just excited. I think they're I think they're tackling an important subject, and I have faith that they'll do a good job with it. I hope they do a good job with it, because I know they're very respectful and just like being real about stuff, which I love.
Okay. And we're going to go on to the final hurdle of questions now anyway, but like one of my things that I know that with this fan base of Life is Strange, like so many actors have talked about how many people have like spoken to them, followed them after the series. You've attended conventions. What's it like meeting Life is Strange fans? Like, has there been like any real one memorable standout moment with like a certain fan where they've like told you a story and it like kind of like just melted your heart?
Okay, let's see. It's interesting because I feel like I interact with fans mostly through my Twitch streams. I owe a large portion of my fan base there to just Life is Strange fans in general. In terms of conventions, I've never gotten to go to a convention like for Life is Strange, as Life is Strange. I think it's really awesome that the boys got to go for Life is Strange 2, but like when our game came out, like no one knew about it. It was so new. Like we weren't going to conventions for anything. And because it's a voice acting role, like no one recognizes me. So I'm kind of like a ghost at conventions. But on the internet, people reach out to me all the time and tell me the most touching, heartwarming stories all the time, especially with my work as Kate. And that has propelled me to work harder to be a mental health positive space, like on my streams and on the internet, and just really kind of hold true to the message. Kate's message through the game has kind of become my own like personal like life mission to just like let people know that like it's okay to not be okay, like we can talk about it, like everything's fine, like so that's been a really interesting, unexpected outcome of it all. I do try to do little meetups if I go out of town. Like I've been in London and done a meetup, and I've done one in New York, and it's always really fun to see people in person as well.
Mm-hmm. So I promised you that we would end on a high note, and that includes a Harry Potter. It's 2 linked Harry Potter ones. So I know that you're a massive fan of Harry Potter. And say if Dayeanne Hutton was cast in a new Harry Potter game with characters from that universe, who would you want to play the most and why?
Luna Lovegood.
Why Luna Lovegood?
Oh my God, she's amazing. She's such a fantastic role model. She's true to herself. She's a loyal friend. She doesn't care what anyone thinks of her. She fights for what's right. Like there's nothing, like she's weird. So weird. I love it so much. Like she doesn't let anyone get her down. It's amazing. She's great.
Okay, and to end as well, we're going to put a Life is Strange twist on the finish. Which Hogwarts houses would Kate, Alyssa, and Juliet belong in?
I feel like I've seen some of this. Kate is definitely Hufflepuff. Alyssa might be a Ravenclaw, and then Juliet. I'm torn between Gryffindor and Slytherin here, but I think Gryffindor. Yeah.
How about Hawt Dawg Man?
Hufflepuff. Yeah.
Hufflepuff.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining me, Dayeanne. I really appreciate it. Guys, like, rate, subscribe, do all that nice YouTube stuff. Go and check out Dayeanne's Twitch streams and YouTube. And I'll have another episode coming very soon. Thank you for joining. Hope you appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.